Hey guys, Allison here. Well, we are living in a grievance society. A lot of division, a lot of anger, a lot of people who feel like victims. Now, there are many people who have been victimized, obviously. But one of the trends that we're seeing, I think, in therapy is that there are many therapists out there reinforcing a victim mentality. Now, it's one thing to be sympathetic with somebody who has been victimized. Now, obviously, people are coming to therapy because they've been hurt. So it's very legitimate that they may have been victimized. However, if we reinforce the victim mentality, we're doing our clients a tremendous disservice. And I think I see that as a trend going on right now. A therapist should be teaching you resilience. We can't change what happened, but we can muster our strengths to deal with it. We can learn how to forgive. We can learn how to set healthy boundaries that protect us. There's such a trend right now to simply cut people off because everybody's an abuser. Now, again, you might have had abusive parents. Your parents, they were young, they may have had problems, whatever it was. I don't want to minimize that because a lot of people have suffered. And I've seen that for over 30 years in my office. People who have suffered because maybe neglect or maybe difficult parents. But your parents probably tried to do the best that they could. And there may be a need to set strong boundaries with abusive parents. I think particularly sometimes when we're starting out in marriage, it's important to set those boundaries and expectations with parents and in-laws because that's a difficult time sometimes for parents to navigate that suddenly, hey, there's a new person and a whole new family joining ours, and it can be really difficult. But it really is important for a couple to set up healthy, respectful boundaries that try to meet everybody's needs, but to understand first your own role and obligation in life, right? So our state in life dictates, right, what we're supposed to do. So what I mean by that is this: if you're married, your state in life dictates that obviously God always comes first, second comes your spouse, third comes your children, fourth comes your extended family. So, and again, that doesn't mean that they're out in the cold. And oftentimes we can work out a lot and really have a lot of family harmony. But too many therapists are reinforcing a victim mentality today and just saying, cut everybody off. And that's not ultimately healthy for anybody. Now, again, there are times where there may be, a need for severe boundaries. Maybe if somebody who is actively abusing drugs or alcohol or very emotionally abusive, I get it. But there probably are ways to set boundaries where there's not a total cutoff. And the most important thing is to learn how to own your feelings, acknowledge them, allow yourself to heal, and allow yourself to set the boundaries that are healthy for you, but not necessarily to just be the victim, because that doesn't help anybody. God allows our struggles, He allows free will, which often results in people hurting us, unfortunately. And yet, through that, God is always working His plan. He never allows an evil or hurt unless He intends to bring a greater good of it. There are many things in life that God has prevented in our lives. And yet we can look at those big things, maybe difficult parents, alcoholic parents, maybe the death of a parent, whatever it is, a divorce, whatever it is that might have been so painful and was not God's ordaining will, but it was His permissive will. And if God permitted it, it's only because He knows He can heal it. He knows that there are strengths that you could gain even in the midst of those sorrows. We'll never understand it all this side of heaven, but therapy should be teaching you how to be resilient no matter what has happened to you, all right? To process those hurts, to process those wounds, to set those healthy boundaries, but to also look within, gather those strengths that you can be a victor over your circumstances. So if your therapist is leaving you in that place where you kind of feel like a helpless victim and life is so horrible and stuff like that, you need to find another therapist, right? And that's where I think a Catholic therapist can be very helpful if they're working toward forgiveness, but not in a blind sense. All right, I thought I'd forgive everybody and let them abuse you. No, 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 no. Absolutely not. We set proper boundaries. And again, looking at our state in life, but we also try to find the good that God has allowed through the difficulty and the strengths that you developed in response to this situation. And most people who come from abusive or neglectful homes have learned to be very resourceful, have developed certain strengths. They may be very observant. They make great detectives, right? Because they had to be. So there's always good that God can draw out of these situations. So realize that God wants you to heal and he wants you to move forward with confidence and with joy and to let go of the anger, the resentment, or the sense of feeling like a victim. So if you're struggling, reach out to a good Catholic therapist that can help you. Always link below the video. Again, we're not victims. We may have been victimized, but it's a choice whether you see yourself as a victim or a victor, right? Because everybody's been victimized in one way or another. We have, and some people in very horrible ways. But you can be a victor over that. So don't allow anybody, especially your therapist, to reinforce that victim mentality because there's nothing at all to be gained by it. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't need to process the hurt. That's okay. And to recognize and acknowledge. Sometimes we don't even acknowledge that we were victimized. And we need to look at it that way and accept it, but then we need to move forward from it. We need to gather our strengths and become a victor over it, not just leave it there. Because, like I said, that's the trend I see, and I think it's extremely negative. God's going to give you the strength to overcome. Therapy is a great tool to do that, but it needs to be oriented toward overcoming and not being the victim, that you can be the victor. So I hope you find that helpful. Please like and share the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with somebody who might need to hear this message. God bless you.